first, we want to bring in our old friend Mike Huckabee, who's running for president. He's a former governor of Arkansas, and he was on the stage Thursday night before 24 million people. Governor, it's great to see you. I want to put up an Instagram picture that your daughter Sarah took. This is a behind-the-scenes look at the debate venue. There are all of you in an elevator. You're laughing. What was the joke?
Well, one of the things that I think is funny, you have all the candidates in that elevator, and you notice there was a guy that was actually running the elevator. One of us in that elevator could well run the country, but they didn't trust any of us to push the buttons on the elevator.
That's true.
So that was one thing I think you should take note of. The second thing, Rand Paul looks like... Yeah, Rand Paul looks like he's all to himself and looks like he's not a happy camper to be there. But there is a backstory that I'm now able to share with you.
Oh.
I ran into Rand Paul yesterday in South Carolina. Rand had been sick all day. He felt awful. He had stomach cramps. He was literally just not sure he was even going to make it to the stage. So it wasn't that he was just being grumpy. What was going on was he was hoping that he didn't have one of those George Bush Japanese moments at the dinner in all of us in the elevator.
Well,
that would have been a memorable moment.
That's a petri dish in that elevator, by the way.
Yes, it would.
So the debate, 24 million people tuned in to watch this debate, just slightly less than the national championship game. This was the most watched news event in cable news history. Governor, why do you think so many Americans dialed in to see what you guys had to say?
Well, I'd love to be able to tell you I think they were watching because they wanted to see what I was going to say. But I think the fact is, America's in trouble. People know that. People across this country are being just punched in the gut by the economy. We hear the unemployment numbers. They don't tell the real story. People are working 2 and 3 jobs, and they can barely feed their families. They can barely make the rent payments. And as a result of that, people are saying, does anybody understand who we are? Does anybody care who we are? Does anybody have an answer to how to get this country back on track? And I think that the interest in the presidential campaign is largely about people who are desperate to see America get back on track again and be able to be the country that lifts people up and gives them a real chance for hope and a higher ground.
Well, Governor Huckabee, it wasn't just the 24 million people that were watching Fox News Channel, watching you and 9 others take the stage at 9 p.m., but also social media was lighting up. Here's the moment that was most tweeted about regarding you taking the stage. Let's watch this clip.
Defense Secretary Ashton Carter recently directed the military to prepare for a moment when it is welcoming transgender persons to serve openly. As Commander-in-Chief, how would you handle that?
The military is not a social experiment. The purpose of the military is kill people and break things. It's not to transform the culture by trying out some ideas that some people think would make us a different country and more diverse. The purpose is to protect America. I'm not sure how paying for transgender surgery for soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines makes our country safer.
Governor, was this your best moment? Is this the one that you're happy, took fire and really caught wind?
Well, I really would love to spend more time talking about things like why I support the consumption tax called a fair tax, even my position on the issue in Iran and the horrible Iranian deal. But, you know, you answer the questions that you're dealt, and we don't get to pick those. But I do feel very passionate that we have turned our military into something more of a social experiment. We have soldiers who are going to repeated deployments. We have the smallest prepared military since before World War II. I mentioned the other night, the last time we put a B-52 in service was 1962. There are people flying those airplanes whose grandfathers flew those airplanes. We have veterans who come back from deployment and they wait months to get help. We need to be focusing on people who lost their leg, not people who want to change their gender. And that's why I feel very strong that there's a whole lot of issues about our military that need to be addressed far more urgently than transgender issues.
So, Governor, I wanted to get your take on that Iran deal. The president defending it pretty vigorously, gave a speech on it yesterday. Most Democrats have coalesced around him. Chuck Schumer, though, is about to be the senior Democrat in the Senate, has broken ranks and says that he will oppose the Iran deal. Why do you think he has broken from his party, and do you think it'll be enough to scuttle the deal?
Well, there's no one who is a more effective leader among the Democrats in the Senate than Chuck Schumer. Harry Reid may have the title, but
Unfortunately, we're having some difficulty with Governor Huckabee's satellite there. We'll see if we can get him back. A few moments ago, the governor, and we were asking him about the Iran deal. Chuck Schumer breaking ranks from Democrats and showing his opposition to the Iran nuclear deal. Governor, you were a mid-sentence before the stars misaligned there for a moment.
Well, what I was saying is that Chuck Schumer is really the intellectual leader of the Democrats in the Senate, not so much Harry Reid, though he holds the title. This is very significant. And even though I would say I probably disagree with Chuck Schumer on most things, I want to commend him for this because he did this in the face of extraordinary pressure and opposition. And I believe he did it because Chuck Schumer has consistently been a true friend to Israel. And he's been a true friend to peace in the Middle East. He knows this is a bad deal. This is an example of statesmanship above partisanship. I think we all owe Chuck Schumer a really sincere round of applause for standing up and putting America first, putting peace first, and saying no to the Iranian deal.
So is this going to be enough? Is this the beginning of a wave? Are you going to see other Democrats, or have been a couple others, but you're going to see more in the Senate break with the president on this question?
I think you will, because Chuck Schumer has the gravitas to bring others with him. There were other Democrats who either expressed misgivings or maybe were against it, but none who have the position that Chuck Schumer does or the respect that he holds among the people in the Senate who look to him as a person to follow. So I think this is huge and very significant, and look for an enormous amount of pressure against him. And if the White House goes and tries to discredit him, it shows how truly desperate they have become, and they have become that.
Governor, a lot of the GOP presidential contenders have gone south, left the Buckeye State. Now you're in Atlanta. Quickly before you go, what are you doing there?
Well, today is the day for the Red State Gathering. It's, I think, almost all the candidates are going to be here today, each making a pitch, answering some questions. So it'll be quite a big confab. So we're making one more pitch trying to get the message out to voters and explaining to them how we can get America where it needs to be.
All right, Governor Huckabee joining us live this morning from Atlanta. We appreciate you joining us as always.
Good luck, Governor.
Thanks, Governor.
Thank you.